Praise Fowowe is a world-class thinker, futurist, Africa's premier creator and trainer of family system engineering. As the principal consultant of Praise Fowowe International and founder of the Institute of Family Engineering and Development Africa, he is an internationally acclaimed family life strategist and crisis manager. A highly innovative strategist blessed with original insights and relationships, he has been applauded all over the continent as one of the most effective when it comes to marital, parenting, and child sexual abuse prevention issues. He has developed several life-changing contents in his quest to get rid of sex predators and pedophiles in this continent. His family system engineering template is now being deployed by family life professionals across the continent. He is married and their marriage is blessed with children. Ladies and gentlemen, with a resounding round of applause, let's make welcome Praise Fowowe.
Thank you, sir, for coming. It's good to see you. So when you go back to America, I'm going to take my place on that plane. You carry me because I need to jackpot for some time. Thank you so much, sir.
Church.
Good morning. All right, we have loads of questions for you. So this is an opportunity to ask your questions. So just write it somewhere, and we'll get to you soon. All right, sir. We are advocating for women to take your place. But there's some women who got married to men that clipped their wings, didn't give them the wings to fly, or even give them the room to express themselves. For example, I know my friend has two elder sisters that studied law. Okay, so when they got married to these billionaire husbands, the husband said, you need to stay at home. I have all the money to take care of you. So they transitioned from being a lawyer to a full-time housewife. So what is the role of a husband in building his wife up?
Okay, the first thing I would like to say is that when a man comes to ask you out, what is bringing is a proposal. And every proposal can either be accepted or rejected. And so oftentimes when people say that my husband has clipped my wings, the question I ask is, who was he before you married him? Because the Bible says a good man sees evil and hides himself. The wicked goes ahead and becomes destroyed. There is no wife beater or a bad man that you can't figure out even before marriage. The problem is many of us are fixated on becoming Mrs. Somebody, that we compromise what we shouldn't compromise in our bid to achieve that. You just mentioned is a billionaire. So I'm wondering, maybe she felt all my needs are going to be met, right? But everything comes with a price. And so if you can't spot a bad man, then something is wrong with you. And like we said at the other service, a lot of our women have had their esteem compromised. They've had their identity messed up by the first men in their lives. It could be their father. Because, when you see a lady who grew up under a proper fatherhood, right, whose father is solid, you realize that they make better choices, right? Because a standard has been set, and they're not going to settle for anything lower than the standard, right? And so, having said that, a lot of our men are not bad. They are also running with the operating system that was installed in them by the men that raised them. So, if you grew up in an African setup where, how many men really celebrate their wives? How many men are actually comfortable to stay at home? So we talk about, stay-at-home moms. Do we talk about stay-at-home dads? Right? And so when people don't understand marriage, and historically, marriage was never, from history perspective, marriage has never always been about love. So in the Stone Age, marriage was not about love. Marriage is a means to acquire cheap labor. So the more children you had, the more you had a workforce, right? Then you went to the Renaissance age. No, you went to the Empire age, which is the Roman Empire, Greek Empire. Marriage was a means to access properties. So if you can't produce a male child, you are not going to have the properties. So every man looks for a woman that can. So I think it's later in life that marriage started being about love. I'm talking about this planet we live in. Now, unfortunately, not many women know that there are still Stone Age men with Stone Age software still in this age and time, right? You still have the Renaissance men in this age and time. You still have the Roman Empire men in this age and time. Now, if you can't figure that out, so if you marry a Stone Age man and you are assuming that is your lover, it's not your lover, right? It's your master, right? Because he doesn't see you as equal. And so if you are a means to an end to produce babies, he's never going to see you less than. And that is why we say that courtship is a period for interview, not a period for intercourse. And that is why you must normalize conversations to say, so what plans do you have? this is who I want to be. When we're cutting, my wife told me outrightly, she said, I love academia and I'm going to study and do a whole lot of, degrees. I've lost count of how many certifications my wife has got. I mean, she just keeps doing certification upon certification, And I said, well, I love a woman that is self-driven. I don't have a problem with that. Now, if this billionaire had said, you know what, you're going to end up in my kitchen, would you still have gone ahead to marry? And so, but we need to now call on our men to understand that the ethos of being a husband is a bridegroom. You are called a bridegroom, which means a groomer of a bride. What it means is, I know you are afraid. And the fear is, you've seen a lot of home videos and you've heard stories of women who were empowered and they turned against their men. And we've seen that. I mean, that's valid, right? But not that, your wife is not that woman. Because I always say to people, and this is very simple. If your wife is manifesting at the highest level, in whose name has she gone? In your name. So the true testament of your greatness as a bridegroom is your capacity to produce a world-class player in your wife. And that's why Proverbs 31 woman, that is the hallmark of a great man. You can say how many things she could do. Why? Because the man created an environment. And that's why headship in the home is not the person who presses the remote button and controls everyone. Headship in the family is the person who creates an ideal environment for the potential of everyone to thrive. And so, when you are a husband and you are not allowing your wife fly, you are defeating the purpose of husbandhood, which means you are not a husband. You might be a side man, right? You might be a boo, but you are not a husband. Because the true hallmark of the husband is ability to groom and set people free. And that's why I always beg women, stop marrying men who are not groomers. Because not every man can groom. The man has not groomed himself. How does he groom you? Right? And so I'm going to appeal to our men. You are not dealing with a woman in the movie who is going to turn against you. And sometimes she's not even turning against you. It's just that she has grown herself and developed. And that's what we're finding in trainings right now. Call any training. I run certification programs all the time. I run training programs. 98% of the people who sign up and pay are women. A lot of the men don't attend because something tells us, what are they going to teach me? And you see, the lowest level of knowledge is ignorance, right? It's guessing, to think that you know when you don't know. And so our men needs to become very secure in their position to know that nobody's taking your headship away from you. But can you allow your wife try? Because that's your first daughter, right? And our greatness is an extension of your greatness. So our men need to be educated. But you see, if we can't change our men, can we change the boys we are raising? Because the boys we are raising right now are the men of the future. So every mother's here in Africa, you are the one that raise children based principally. So put the boys in the kitchen. Don't let them go and play football. Put them in the kitchen. Every job you give your girl child to do, give the boy child to do it. Now, that was what my mother did to me. Put me in the kitchen. So by the time I grew into adulthood, I didn't even know that women were the ones who were cooking. When my son was born, he didn't know. My son he could literally vouch that in every home, fathers and mothers are the ones who cook. He didn't know. So naturally, he's cooking, he's washing plates, he's doing everything. The first time he knew was when he was in Nigeria, primary school, primary 3, social studies textbook that says daddy's job is to provide money, mommy's job is to stay at home and cook. That was the first time he saw. How do they put that kind of information in a textbook? That's socialization, right? Messing up the sanity. And my son vehemently resisted. It was a major argument, and he told his teacher, he said, no, why should women be the only ones that cook? Who are the people that eat? Human beings. Human beings should cook. And the teacher still insisted, this is what is. And my son said, okay, can I ask a question? Why is it that when men buy houses, they attach a kitchen to it? The women are the ones that should cook. Every man who is not married, they should sell them houses that has no kitchen. So that when the woman now comes, they will attach kitchen. He was a child, but see the way he was thinking. Right? And so we need to make what is human-centric and not gender-centric. Put your boys in the kitchen. Let them learn how to cook. Let them learn how to take care of the house. When you do that, in another 10, 20 years, you may not be able to change your own husband, but at least you would have prepared a wholesome guy for another woman in the future. And let me warn you. Let me warn you now.
Amazing.
Let me warn you now. The women of the future are not going to be in the kitchen. No. So your son will be hungry if he doesn't know how to cook now. Because the women in the future are now in the boardroom. They are now tech experts. They are equally as busy. So if your man, your boy has inferiority complex, he's still coming with, women who will be like a Kimji and kneel down, and those women don't exist in the future. So please, women, put your children, boy child, in the kitchen. Let them learn how to respect women so that in the future, we would have been the seed. And our seed would have grown to become a harvest. And we can reap a harvest where men can stand shoulder to shoulder with their wife and they don't feel inferior or insecure.
Can we celebrate Pastor Praise? Wow, thank you so much. So the kitchen is not just for the woman, it is for both the men and the women. All right, so my second question is, before Esther actually saw the king and did her purpose, she was prepared. There was preparation. So what are the strategies that a woman needs to have before you actually fulfill your purpose? Talking about looking good, smelling nice, going for trainings, proper positioning.
Okay, so I would, to answer this question, go and get the tape for second service. That's the first thing I'll say to you because I can't repeat that. I taught extensively on that in the second service. So, in fact, second service, you need to listen to it all week, every day, because there's a lot of things I taught in there. But basically, you see, strategy has 3 pillars. The first pillar of strategy is expected outcome. What result do I want? The second leg of strategy is internal capacity. And the third leg of strategy is operating environment. So every time we do strategy, we build every strategy around those 3 pillars of strategy. Expected outcome, operating environment, internal capacity. Expected outcome is what result do you want? Internal capacity is, do I have all it takes to achieve this result? And that will show you gaps in your life. So for example, you need people who will tell you the truth. Do you know my office is 92% women. At all the times I've worked, I hire more women, right? Because I find it easier to work with them. Yeah, I find it easier to work with women. Women are very loyal. When it comes to business, they will take it as their own. And because women can give birth, they will incubate and give birth to several things, right? And so, I always tell them the truth. So if they show up in the office, because I tell women, it is not everyone that weave on fits. So don't think because everyone is wearing weave on, you go and wear weave on. You can look like Kutelu and everybody will be laughing. And the bad thing about people is that when you look like that Kutelu, they will not tell you. They'll be laughing, but they'll tell you, oh wow, you look good. You look good. It's a lie. Right? Me, I'll tell you the truth. Go and remove this thing. Right? So, some people have body odor. You need to find a way to buy them roll-on and teach them how to take care of themselves. I see a lot of ladies who tell me, nobody's looking at me. Then they dress terribly. Their color combination is very bad. They are wearing a makeup that makes them look like a masquerade. Right? And then they feel good. They feel fly. I call them aside and I respectfully tell them, you know what, I love you. You know I love you. And you know I'll tell you the truth. Right? I think you should, go and get someone to work on you and tell you the skin, because it's not every clothes that fits your skin texture. It's not every color makeup that is good for your face. Right? And so don't just look at TV and say, oh, Rihanna did it, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. You may be Rihanna and not Rihanna. Right? And so we need to help women understand what is the outcome you want. What are the gaps in internal capacity? So, for example, some of you didn't have good fathers. If you don't have good fathers, or the men in your life have messed you up, you are likely going to have a problem with your husband. Some of you have traumas. So maybe you were raped, or you were molested, or you were cheated on, or your father cheated on your mom. When you marry a man, you are going to be seeing him through the eyes of a cheat. Even if you marry Jesus Christ, you will think he's going to cheat on you. And so you begin to project your father on him. Meanwhile, it's not your father. So we say to women, you need to heal. So you now need to find out what are the requirements for the sector you want to get into. And that takes me to the third leg, which is the operating environment. See, the operating environment you live in has rules of engagement. Nigeria is not America. And that's why when my friends in America, they say, America, I said Nigeria is not America. See, in America, if you are competent, you will get hired. In Nigeria, competence is not enough. You need godfathers. Are we together? I have a young man who I was mentoring who does real estate on the island. And so one time he ran into big trouble. I said to him, who are the people on your board? I looked at him, he put his family members. I said, your company will be shut down. I said, go and look for someone who has legs on the ground. Maybe one general, retired general, and put him as your chairman. I said, because they are going to check you out because you're operating on the island, and they want to see who is your back end. I said, if they realize that you don't have a back end, they're going to shut you down. And he was like, no, I have God Father. I got the Father. God is Father is all I have. When they shut him down, he came back to me. I said, Pierre, what you said is true. I said, because the rules of engagement in Africa is man, no man. Right? God can sometimes do supernaturally and they call you from nowhere. But that's 1 out of 99. The other 99 people, they must know people. And that is why, for example, when I live in Nigeria, I had police as my friends. So everywhere I moved to, I normalized the police post there. I bought them bags of rice. I bought them water. I bought them vegetable oil. And so they knew me. They will call me. When they don't see me, they say, oh, God, we never see you. I send things to them again. You know why? It's security instinct. Because if anything wants to happen that will be devastating, they are likely going to warn you to say, get out of town. Right? I normalize having friends in politics. Right? You say they are dirty, they are wicked. You see, even the wicked is reserved for the days of judgment. The Yoruba people say, right? So you can't say because they are dirty. You know they are dirty, but they are once going to determine your policies. Right? And so I have gotten jobs I never bidded for because I belong to certain circles. So when I joined to America, my mentor told me, he said, Praise, you just new in America, go and join Rotary Club. When I was on campus, they told me Rotary Club is demonic, Rotary Club people. You know, there are so many narratives we sold in Christianity that is not correct. I said, why do I need to join Rotary Club? I said, because the Rotary Club are the owners of the land. If you join Rotary Club, you will meet the Uisu. So I went to join Rotary Club. I went to the first Rotary Club in Harvin, Texas. I got in there. They said, what have you come to do? I said, I came to join. They said, no black man has ever come to join us. They said, we wonder why they never come. I said, well, you have the first black man. I joined. Do you know when I joined? The next meeting, the mayor of Harvin was a Rotary Club member. He was at the meeting. The police superintendent is a member. All of them were coming to meetings. The chairman, Chamber of Commerce was there. All the business people I needed, they were members of Rotary Club. So we were meeting regularly. So I traveled faster than many of my friends, because I knew the places to belong to. Because when you belong to a family, what you get is appointment. If you're out of a family, what you get is employment. There are people who have never been employed in their life. They started their life as appointment. They appointed a special advisor to this, special advisor to that. It's a good place to be. Right? And so many of us, the problem we have is we have this arrogance, like the Pharisees. I'm holy. We don't deal with all those. But those poor people are those people that you claim as sinners. They are the ones that govern everything you do. Right? And so, as a woman, I know your problem is, they might want to sleep with me. See, not everyone wants to sleep with you. Right? And if they want to sleep with you, it's a proposal. You have a right to reject. And so I tell women, if you know the man is likely going to sleep with you or is eyeing you one house, quickly normalize him and turn into your uncle. Go and meet him and say, I want you to be my uncle, blah, 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 blah. Once you are putting uncle, blah, 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 the propensity for him to ask for sex is gone, except he wants to lose his uncleship. Right? And so you need to know how to engage. Esther played a power game in the palace. And if you read the book of Esther, it's a book she played a power game. Right? And that was why, because she had understood the rules of engagement, that was why she showed up at the wrong time when the king could have. But you see, if you read the Bible with an open eye, right? The Bible says, and she pleased the king. Whatever that means, I don't know. Right? But you can figure it out. Right? And so, do you please the king you are dealing with? Right? If your husband, for example, many people say to me, my husband is terrible. My husband is terrible. He never listens to me. He's a yes side chick. But there's a girl in Unilag who rubs the head of your husband, even though she's younger than your husband, and calls your husband baby, and your husband responds to her. What is she using? It's what you have not activated. So I coach women on what to do. Some women, a woman I was working with her husband has almost left home. She came to me, Praise, he has left home, he's no longer seeing me, I told her, can I have your picture when you married him? I saw the picture, it was contrast. She was slim when she married. She's now added a lot of weight. Of course, I understand baby and all those things. But the last child is now 16, but you are not back to that shape. I told her we don't need prayers. Gym is what we need first. Registered her in a gym, started jogging, started working out. This man no longer sees her, no longer talks to her, started getting back into shape, and she started losing the weight. The next thing is, she told me the lady he was sitting with, I went to study the lady, I realized that both of them are Chelsea fans, right? So I asked the lady, what team do you support? She said, football is not my thing. Okay. Said, that's why communication has broken. I said, you need to join Chelsea today. Sat her in my office, I didn't pray, taught her about Chelsea. These are the players they are buying. That was the year Chelsea bought Eto. I said, so call him in my office right now and say, sweetheart, our team has bought a new player. So she called him. Oh, sweetheart, our team has bought a new player. Congratulations. He said, which one is your team? He said, Chelsea now, Samuel Eto'o. He said, who is teaching you all these things? Right? And so she got back into shape. Then I told her the next thing you need to do is every day go out, come back home, make a call to an imaginary lover, and then strike jealousy in him and dance and be very, very happy. Because he's never seen you happy. So she was doing, I said, if you do that for 7 days, on the 4th day, drop your phone carelessly, right? And go inside the room and see if he will try to take your phone to check who you have been chatting with. We wrote a script for the guy. He fell into it. She went into the room. As she dropped her phone, he quickly went to grab the phone. I said, watch it. By the 6th day, he will jog with you. As she was jogging early morning, he was jogging behind her. I said, why are you jogging behind me? A man is not difficult to influence. See, if you know a man's mumu button, he will be mumu for the rest of his life. Right? And so, the man just started jogging as if they were taking him to the slaughter. Say, why are you jogging behind me? He said, I want to see your new lover. He said, so you are still seeing me. And that was how I started talking, and the man apologized that he treated her unfairly. But what did we do? Because the person he fell in love with was not the fat person. So we returned her back to factory setting. Right? That was deliverance, right? But it was strategic. So you need to learn how to win, right? As a woman, whether in the boardroom, you need to find out the rules of engagement. If you work in Africa, you need to build relationship across board. So that anytime, I'm coming to Lagos right now, you know the first offer I started getting, people were asking me, Praise, where are you going to stay? One guy told me, he said, Praise, any hotel, I'll pay for it all through your stay. Another person said, Praise, I have a house in Lekki, it's available. I'll give it to you. And then say, Ikoyi, no, come and stay in my house. I just built a house in Ikoyi, blah, 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 blah. I built relationships. There is no nation I step into today, right? Except the nation I've not been to, that there are not people in high places that would take me in, without any notice. So you need to understand that this life is about relationship. You see, you are 3 doors away from the rest of the world. There is an Ojo who knows an Adamu, who knows a Chioma, who is your key to where you want to go to. But the problem is that many of you are being bad to the Ojo, so you can't reach the Adamu, let alone reach the Chioma. So you need to work on yourself and normalize being kind to everyone you meet. If your code is kindness, I'll be kind to everyone, your names will be mentioned in places your legs cannot take you to. So those are the rules of engagement, and I hope those helps.
Well, celebrate Pastor Praise. Thank you so much. Like, this is a handful, so you need to head on straight to the YouTube to just watch, replay. Thank you so much. So does anybody have a question? Anybody question? Anybody? Okay, no one. Okay, you have a question. We have somebody at the back. Please, can you give him the mic? Quickly, thank you. So where are the ladies? We need ladies to ask him questions. Okay. Praise the Lord. I think we can go ahead. All right, so Pastor Praise, whether we like it or not, parenting is pivotal to the future endeavor of an adult, okay? So I know from birth, I studied a little bit of early childhood education. I won't say a little bit, a full degree. And from birth to 8 years is the formative years of a child. And once that period is disrupted, it can actually affect the child. Yes. So a parent A can actually see a child scribbling something on the wall and say, yes, you're writing nonsense. But parent B might say, no, I'm seeing a professional, a guru, a creative director, and they will help that child in that line. So what do you think, what's the role of parenting or parents?
Parenting actually means the word bring forth. So the parenting ethos is to bring the potential of a child to realization. The big problem is that many of us have not been trained to spot the potential of a child because we have been scripted to see right and wrong. And so life can be right and wrong, but there are shades of gray that you may never even figure out. And so when you're raising a child, the first thing you need to do is the first 3 years of your child's life, your role in the life of that child is not someone that beats or yell or shout. Your role is scouting. Scouting means you need to be able to spot the potential of your child and interpret it appropriately. And I'll give you an example. My son was in crèche. And they called me that the boy was destructive. I said, what does that mean? Say he was destroying pencils. That was what the crèche told me. And they said, you need to call him to order. I said, call a 3-year-old to order? What kind of ordering am I calling him to order? I said, what is he doing with the pencils? They couldn't tell. So I said, okay, I'll come to school and observe myself. So the following day I went to school. And as I got in there, he had egg 3. All the children in the crèche. As he got to crèche, he dropped his bag. I was observing him. And he said, all of you, pencil. And by themselves, all of them submitted their pencil. The first thing I saw was a leader. That, wow. It's not as if he's using Otumokpo or anything. Saying, submit your pen. And they submitted their pencil willingly. Then he took the pencil and he hit it against the table and it broke. What I saw was that he was playing drums. Right? Because in the junior church, they beat drums on the table. So that was what extending to school. So I saw it. So when I picked him in the afternoon, I took him to a place and I brought drumsticks. And he started playing. So I said, does this still break pencil? They said no. So schools can misdiagnose your child if care is not taken. Right? It's the same way they will say a child that is hyper has ADHD. Not necessarily. Right? If it's a child, who is used to running around, he will be hyper to the ones who don't run around. Right? But it's normal. Everyone is normal at whatever their level is. And that's why the neurodivergent children right now are actually many of the biggest geniuses in the US. Because they realize that their knowledge is different from every other person's knowledge. So, interpretation is the biggest gift you need to have as a parent. So, you got into your house and your sitting room is flooded. And then your iPhone, what's the latest one now? 15? Is there 15 now? Well, Pro Max is lying inside that water. And your child is swimming, running around inside that water. What are you going to do? You're likely going to kill him. Right? You beat him for messing up your phone. But no. What is your child trying to do? Could it be that your child is a swimmer? Is trying to create a swimming pool? Could your child be an oceanographer? Could it be that your child went with you somewhere and saw a swimming pool in a sitting room because there are houses that have them and is trying to recreate it? If you don't see that and all you see is he's destroying my phone and you beat him, you can actually alter the potential of your child by your anger. And you remember, I met a woman who was in my class and she told me, praise, when I was a child I used to play a lot with water. My parents took me to a woli on the mountain. And the woli said I had Ogbanji. He said they beat me. And they started asking me, what meeting do you go for? He said when the beating became too much, I started telling them I am a witch. I go for beating. Just to stop the beating. Right? So I asked her, do you go for meeting? He said, please, which meeting? Right? He said, I just loved water. She could have been an oceanographer, but ignorance, cost her and her parents destroyed her potential. Right? I sometimes go to Canada and I see a lot of African kids. They are now leading ice hockey teams in Canada. Now, there's no ice hockey in Nigeria. So I always say that they say in real estate, destiny can be, the 3 rules in real estate is location, location, location. Destiny can be location sensitive, especially when your potential cannot find expression where you are located. Right? Even Jesus could have been killed. They had to relocate him to Egypt. Right? So it's important for you to become skilled. Whatever you see in your child, even if it looks negative, there are other positive intentions. In fact, right now I say to parents, everything you see in your child, look for 5 alternatives and pick the one that serves you best. Right? Because death and life is in the power of the tongue. Those that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Whatever you call it is what it becomes. Right? If you say, many of us we told a lie, and our parents beat us, and the next thing they say, they prophesied the next line. Entobakuro ajali. The guy has not stolen, but they prophesied it. Then starts in it. I said it. No, you were a prophet. You prophesied it. Because the psychology of lie is that I don't trust your ability to warehouse my truth. So let me hide from you, and so that you can be normal. Because if I tell you the truth now, you beat me and you'll be angry. I will see the anger in you. So let me save you from you. Right? The psychology of stealing is scarcity mentality. Right? Because many of us stole for the first time because of scarcity. And our parents were the ones who caused it. So daddy took 6 chicken. Mommy took 2. Then they now gave a child the leg. That's what they gave us. Right? I don't even know what meat is in that leg now. That they were punishing us. And so we're looking at daddy. What offense did I commit as a child? And so many of us went into the fridge behind them to go and bite. Was that how we started stealing? Right? So if they had given us the 6 meat, we won't need to steal. Right? And so when you understand that psychology, you will no longer label your child. The Bible says, do not call unclean what I've called clean. What God sees is a child after his heart. Keep calling your child who he is. Then you can regulate other behaviors. But interpretation is the most important skill in the formative years. Once you master that, you can raise a wholesome child. I think as Africans, we need to normalize celebrating women who refused to terminate a pregnancy that others terminated. So what we've been doing is to praise people who terminated pregnancy, but they show up as if they've done nothing.
It happened.
And the ones who, when I was 30, when I clocked 30, my mother called me. She shared a story with me. I am number 6 in a family of 7. My younger brother is like 7 years older than me. So my mother had a firstborn, male, 4 ladies after, right? Making 5. So 2 years later, she just gained admission back to University of Ife, and then she took in of me. And my mother said, my father and the doctors told her that pregnancy will affect her education, so she should terminate the pregnancy. So she said everyone agreed that she should do it, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. She was like, what if this child turns out differently from every other person? And so she took a decision not to terminate me. Imagine if I was terminated. So I never take for granted the blessing. If we say God is the provider of every child, the circumstances do not matter. God is the one that sent this child. That's what should matter. So why do we punish the channel that God used? Did she impregnate herself? The guy that impregnated her is somewhere now. Maybe he's being praised. Maybe he has even become a pastor somewhere. And everybody's saying, our daddy, our daddy. But look at the consequence of his action. So please, as a community, we need to surround ladies who are single mothers and provide support for them. As men, we need to show up in their lives and maybe even adopt their children. So my sister, again, see Auntie Joanna, right? They'll take you through a proper healing because I think you have so much in you and I think you have done well for yourself. So don't be stuck in what happened 14 years ago. Some of us made mistakes yesterday and we are not stuck there. We are a human being. You've done what human beings normally will do. You didn't make an animal mistake. You make a normal human being mistake. And God turned it around for your good. Right? So celebrate the child you have, but understand that that child is not your life. What would you have done with your life if you didn't get pregnant 14 years ago? That is the agenda you must keep pursuing. And let me tell you, I have women, because I work with women, C-suite executives who are divorced. Some of them have 4 children. Men are still pursuing them. A man wants a value-adding product. Right? And so many of us look down and say, no man, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Tell yourself, which man will now want to marry me? With one, I have seen, in fact, in Dallas where I live, a guy married a lady who has 6 children. 6.
Wow.
And he told the lady, I don't need to add any of my own. We'll be, as in 6. And you have 1. And you're even very beautiful. So that's why I was shocked that, why are you not married? There are so many good men. So stop looking down on yourself. And that your child is not your husband. Let the child grow up normally as a child. Don't make him to be taking responsibility because you are going to pass trauma to him. Let him grow normally. You find a sensible man who will appreciate you and who will adopt that child and get married and live happily thereafter. That's what you deserve. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been an insightful time with you. You're indeed a gift to the body of Christ and all over. God bless you.
Amen.
Thank you so much for coming to add value here. God bless you. So what can we say to him? Again? Celebrate him, celebrate him. Thank you so much.